I remember hearing someone say the phrase, a bit of hardship polishes the soul. And I agree. Hi everyone, Happy New Year, I hope you're all well. Gosh, it's been a long time since I posted a video on YouTube, my goodness. Gosh. So I was debating whether or not to make this video, simply because I just wasn't sure how comfortable I was going to be essentially being vulnerable with strangers online. But something kept telling me to make this video. I don't know whether, you know, hopefully maybe it will help someone. I'm not sure. But yeah, it just didn't feel right coming back to YouTube without sharing a bit about what's really been going on with me, and what's still sort of going on in my life. So 2021 for me was I don't really want to say the worst year of my life, but probably the worst year of my life. Let's not use the word worst. The most challenging year of my life, the hardest year of my life. It was a year that was full of a lot of grief, you know, losing people that I love, one of which was my dad, who passed away suddenly in March, followed by just a number of other challenges personally. I'm going to try and keep it together. So I'm just going to say there is no real like flow to this. I'm sort of just talking, so apologise if when I go through things it's a little bit all over the place, but I'm just speaking from, it's just coming. So gosh. So yeah, the loss of my dad, which was the first major thing in the year, and I did disappear offline for a while after that, but I came back, and then another huge thing happened with me personally, health-wise, later in the year, and that's why I've been gone since then, really. So the 18th of March last year, it was pretty much a really normal day, I guess. Just started eating my dinner. I made fajitas that day. Naked fajitas because, you know, I was trying to lose weight, lose the quarantine weight that I gained. Anyway, and my mum called me and she was like very plain spoken, just, hey, you know, can you come over? That day was a Thursday, and normally I would go to my mum's on the weekends, so it was a little strange that she was calling me to come over randomly on a Thursday, and I was like, is there any reason why? And she was like, just come over as soon as you can. So both my sisters live at home with my mum, so I called my middle sister and I was like, hey, mum said I should come over. Is she acting funny? How is she? What's her like mood like? And she was like, yeah, she's just been really plain, but I know that, you know, our auntie and uncle are coming over as well. And I was like, on a Thursday, this is really weird. And my younger sister was at uni at the time, and my mum had told her to come home as soon as possible with her boyfriend. So where I live, it's easy for me to collect them from like the nearest station on my way, so I coordinated with them and picked them up to go to my mum's house. And weirdly, I didn't suspect anything bad. I don't know why. She didn't have like a sad tone. She just had a very just plain, no emotion in her voice kind of tone. So we weren't actually sure whether it was good or bad. It was a really weird thing. But anyway, so I picked them up and make our way. No one's in a weird mood. We're all fine, just chatting to them about their day, everything, you know. And as we were pulling up, so it takes me a second to park when I get to my mum's because it's a bit awkward. So I was like to them, you guys get out of the car, I'll just park and, you know, whatever. So they got out, went inside, and as I was parking the car, I started getting this phone call from Ghana, from this unknown number, and I was a bit like, this is really strange. Again, you know, didn't think anything bad. Answered the phone. It was my dad's wife, who in the whole 20 years they've been together has never called me. Okay, so immediately I was like, okay, what the hell is going on? Answered the phone. She was like, hey Marie-Laure, it's... And I was like, is everything okay? And then she was like, no, everything is not okay. Your dad passed away a couple of hours ago. Oh God. And I just, thank God I was not still driving, because I could have crashed the car, you know. Guys, I completely lost it. I think I screamed. I started wailing. I felt myself like I couldn't breathe, because it was just... It was just out of nowhere, you know. He wasn't sick. There was nothing. So I hung up the phone, because I don't even think I hung up the phone. I think it was just on, and I stumbled into the house, and it was my mum, my aunt and uncle, and my sister's boyfriend in the living room. And I was just like, I was in a like, I was in a... I've never experienced anything like it. My sister's boyfriend like grabbed me, because I was nearly gonna fall, like properly fall. Let me get some tissue, hold on. Oh man. I said I wouldn't cry. I said I wouldn't cry. So obviously my sister didn't know what was going on, and then so I came in and I had completely lost it, and my middle sister immediately was like, what is going on? Just tell us, why is she acting like that? Why has dad died? And then my mum told them, and it was just... It was honestly one of the worst moments, not even one of, I think the worst moment of my life. At that point, I'd never had anyone, you know, really like close to me pass away, you know, like someone... It's so funny, because my dad and I wouldn't say I was like super close to my dad, but in recent years, you know, we had tried, that's a story for another day, but I loved that man so much. Like, I literally felt like a piece of my heart had been ripped out of my chest. And it suddenly hit me that, you know, I would never hear his voice again. I would never ever feel him hug me again. I'd never hear him laugh again. I'd never hear him crack any more jokes. He'd never walk me up the aisle. Just death is such a such a weird thing. It's so final, you know. There's no like going back, is there? It's just You just have to accept it. Anyway, well, I called some of my friends and I told them, and they came and they saw me, and it's so weird. People don't really know what to do or say, you know, but I was grateful that they tried. The next day I actually had a doctor's appointment. Nothing serious, but doctor's appointment, and for some reason I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go. Even though I hadn't slept the whole night, just been crying. My family, we just all together just crying, just so many questions. Oh yeah, so what actually happened to him, to be honest, the story makes absolutely no sense to me. It's not made any sense to a lot of people, but allegedly he wasn't feeling well for like 2 days or so before, like his stomach or something like that. Long story short, he was rushed to hospital a couple of days after feeling unwell and went to one hospital who said they didn't have the facilities. By the way, my dad was working in Uganda, so yeah, so that's where he was. And yeah, they said they didn't have the facilities to help him in that situation, so they referred him to the next hospital, took him in an ambulance, and he ended up having cardiac arrest in the ambulance, just like that. I'm sure he didn't think he was going to die that day, you know. He's only 56. There was nothing wrong with him. He didn't have any cardiovascular issues that I was aware of. But anyway, that's the story, apparently. Anyway, so yeah, the next day I went to oh gosh, sorry. Yeah, I decided I would go to this doctor's appointment, but it was a bit away from where I live, so one of my good friends, he came and he took me, and I remember that day. It was really, really sunny. It's a really sunny day in March, and the sun was just beaming, and I literally just felt like I had this dark cloud over me, you know, like just this dark cloud just following me around wherever I went. So I go to the hospital, and I was trying to keep it together, you know, and I saw the doctor, who wasn't a doctor I had seen, you know, many times. I think only like 2 or 3 times before. And he kind of immediately knew there was something wrong. And then I just lost it, guys, in the doctor's office. I was just like, my dad died yesterday. And bless him, the doctor, he literally forget all the COVID protocol. He just gave me a really big hug. He just held me for ages. It was so weird. It was nice, but it was, yeah. Anyway, yeah, for weeks I struggled to sleep, and you know, but yeah, it's a weird, it's a lot. It was a lot. I think death is always difficult, but I think, I don't want to say it's worse or better, but there's something about it just happening just out of nowhere, you know. I feel like maybe if he had been unwell, or you know, for some serious amount of time or something, he might have mentally maybe have been slightly more prepared, but just the suddenness of all of it was just so much to take in, you know. But anyway, it took a long time, you know, weeks for me to stop crying. I didn't really, I wouldn't say I've really like completely stopped crying. I'm okay these days. It's interesting. You go from like every moment tears. Well, not everyone, but for me anyway, it was like every moment tears to, you know, it becomes slightly less frequent. Not because it becomes easier, but because you start to accept it more and you become more used to the new reality, and you've learnt to manage it a bit better, you know. Like now I'm at the point where generally, I'm surprised I'm crying now, because normally I can talk about it without crying too much anyway. But yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. Gosh. But anyway, yeah, fast forward a couple of months to the end of May. Come back from Ghana from my dad's funeral. We were there for a while actually. And something like when people pass away, you just get this like sense of, you know, really understanding like the fragility of life and like how short life is. I know it sounds cliche, but like you really see, you know, life is short, and, you know, let me stop being so fearful of certain things and let me get up and, you know, make my dreams happen and all of these things. So I had been like, right, okay, let me get my life in gear and like let me make certain things happen. So I had all of these plans for the rest of the year, you know. So many plans for the rest of the year. So anyway, fast forward, I'm living my life, you know, I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible, making plans, making moves, like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, gonna do that, gonna quit my job, gonna do that. And just when I felt like I was like getting back to like normal, September now, we're in September now, I received a shock diagnosis. Gosh. I'm not at the place where I'm ready to share exactly what it was yet. But yeah, I received a shock diagnosis, a serious illness. It's amazing because I don't look like what I'm going through, but I'm going through it, and, you know, one day when I actually tell you the full story of everything and how everything happened, you'll be shocked. But anyway, yeah, I've received this shock diagnosis, and yet again, my whole life as I knew it literally in an instant changed. Like, every now and then I stop and I just think, I can't believe this is really happening. Like, no, this is really happening. This is really like real. When I think back to the moment that I was told, I was just so scared. I was terrified. I felt hopeless. And it was a weird thing because when I heard my dad had passed away, as terrible as it was, I think because it wasn't only me that was grieving, you know, it was my whole family, you know, aunties, uncles, cousins, like just it was like a very much a shared experience, you know. But this I just felt completely alone. Completely alone. Why is this happening to me? Where did this come from? It didn't make any sense, you know. When I told my friends, they were shocked, obviously. Everyone's shocked. When I tell you guys, it's going to be, wow. It's going to be some testimony, because honestly, guys, it's mad. But yeah, it didn't make any sense, you know, my age. I'm a healthy person. This thing doesn't run in my family. Just none of it made sense. And honestly, it took me a while to process it. And yeah, it was just like in an instant, all of my plans, like everything that I had planned was just like out of the window. I've moved back home with my family, something I didn't think at almost 30, having lived out for 5 years already, was going to happen. Certain things that I planned didn't make sense to do. Not even didn't make sense, I couldn't do in that moment. You know, I had quit my job. I had actually quit my job. And I received the diagnosis literally a week before my last day, after having a 4-month notice period, guys. Like, the timings are mad. And made the decision that, you know, it would make more sense to stay than to leave, given how much more time, given the circumstances, basically, you know, treatment times I would need, a lot more time off than I would have ever needed before, to go for treatment and stuff. And it just felt as though if I went somewhere else, that would just be really a difficult thing to explain, being a new person. Plus, you know, I'd already known the people that I'd worked with for years, and I was really comfortable with them and everything. So I just thank God. I thank God that they allowed me to stay. But yeah, anyway, eventually I'll tell like I keep saying, I'll tell the full story, because the way everything happened, even up until the diagnosis, everything, the way everything lined up is just mad. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, last year, and even now, I'm still going through things. I'm still going through the treatment and everything. But like, honestly, last year, life sometimes doesn't make sense. That's what I've learned. Like, life sometimes does not make any sense at all. Or, you know, sometimes when it rains it pours. Like, one bad thing happens and then another huge bad thing happens, and you're just there like, I don't understand. Before, I would say I used to think the world was very, you know, 2 + 2 = 4. But it doesn't. I'm like, well, if I eat well, and if I exercise, and if I don't smoke, and if I don't drink excessively, I'm going to be a healthy person. And yet here I am. Being diagnosed with a serious illness that came out of nowhere, right? Or even with my dad. My dad's friends would say on so many occasions that my dad was the healthiest out of all of them. And yet, he passes away of a random, essentially, heart attack. Guys, life just sometimes doesn't make sense. Sometimes it just... it's not fair. There can be people who, I don't know, smoke their whole lives, but you, the person that didn't smoke, will be the one that got lung cancer. Like, life sometimes makes no sense. Nobody knows what's around the corner. Only God. Like, literally only God knows. We think we know, like, we think we want to be like, oh yeah, you know, yeah, I'm going to do this next year, or I'm going to do that next year. It's only by God's grace. Every single day that we are here, it is literally only by the grace of God. It's not because of anything that you've done, I'm telling you. I've faced 2 of the biggest fears that I've ever had. You know, the biggest fears. 2, actually more than 2, but let's say these 2 major things. The loss of a loved one, which is technically an inevitable thing. If you live on this earth for long enough, you are going to experience loss, unfortunately, because death is part of life, you know. But the loss of a loved one, and yeah, being diagnosed with a serious life-threatening illness. But I'm still here, you know, I'm still here. I don't look like what I'm going through. And I've grown, I've changed, I've become a different person. I've always wanted to be somebody who would help people, who had some sort of impact in people's lives, you know. And I realised that in order for me to become the person I want to be, there are things that I needed to go through. I remember hearing someone say the phrase, a bit of hardship polishes the soul. And I agree, you know, I've become such a different person, and I'm still becoming that person because of what I have gone through and what I am continuing to go through. It humbles you on a different level. I think going through hard times can become such an opportunity for growth. I'm so much more of a compassionate person now. Like, it's interesting because now that I've gone through the loss of a close one, I feel like when other people experience it, I understand them differently now. It's not this hypothetical thing to me anymore. It's not just a, I'm so sorry, you know, I'll keep you in my prayers thing. It's like, what did I need when I went through it? And can I offer the same thing to another person? Not that everybody's going to need what I need, but, you know, I just understand it differently. And also when I speak to people who are going through similar things, you realise that your words hold so much more weight, you know, in letting the person know that they are not alone in their struggle, in letting the person know that they will come through it, you know, or they can get through it because you're getting through it, you know. Like, you encourage people on a different level when they can tell or they know that you've experienced the same thing, or at least not, it doesn't have to be the exact same thing, but it's different when you've been through like suffering essentially, and you talk on suffering. I see things so differently. Like, for example, even just with social media, and I was aware of this before, but you can look at my Instagram, yeah, and assume so much about my life. But most of all, you would probably assume that everything was fine. Everything was fine. I look fine. There's nothing that is showing there's anything wrong. But I know what I'm going through personally, you know. So I look at a lot of things now. I take a lot of things with a huge pinch of salt, because you have no idea. As much as we like to think that we know what is going on with people, you have absolutely no idea what is really going down in people's lives. You will be shocked the things that people are dealing with. It's insane. So I look at everything, I take everything with much more of a pinch of salt. I don't compare myself to anyone. I am a much more grateful person. I really took things like my health for granted, or like my family members for granted, or like just people and situations and just everyday blessings. You just think they're just there, like they're just meant to be there. That's just how life should be. But all of it is a blessing. And I've learned to see the good things in every situation. You know, there is always something to be grateful for. Like even my situation, like, I'm just grateful that I'm gonna have such a testimony. Like, eventually I'm gonna have such a testimony that I'm gonna be able to share with so many people, that will help so many people. I'm excited. Through it all, I've learnt to trust God, honestly, because there are so many things that are around the corner that we're just not aware of. Like I said, I made my plans for the rest of my year, and something just came, put a spanner in the works. We can only see what's immediately in front of us, or I guess the present, right? God sees the future, and God knows the future, and through those situations I've just seen so much of God's grace. God has shown me that he knew what was coming. He already has prepared certain things to take place. Like, it's wild. And I've learned that, you know, as much as I have always tried to control so much in my life, really only God is really in control. Honestly, like, you can only control so much. You can only control so much. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that, yeah, you know, my faith and everything has just always been super strong. Like, no, I've had so many ups and downs. with my faith, with my attitude about things. And yeah, honestly, through everything, God has just shown me that he's got me. Through every bad thing, he's shown me that he will carry me through. I'm a much more giving person, you know, especially with money. I think before I used to be a bit like stingy. It's weird. Not stingy, I don't want to say stingy, but like now, I think when you go through really like tough times, you realise what is really important in life. And I'm not one of those people that's like, you know, money doesn't matter. Like, of course money matters, because you need money to get a lot of things done, right? But, you know, I'm not so tight with my money anymore. I'm just like, I want to make people happy. I want to I want to use it to bring light in situations where I can, you know. Yeah, I've just become a more of a generous person, which is lucky for my friends because it's everyone's 30th birthdays this year. There are a lot of things now that I just don't care about, like a lot of like trivial things that I used to give my energy, I just don't anymore. Like, you know, these certain online conversations and arguments and debates, and I just go, you know what, I don't care. I don't care. You know, if you hold that opinion and it's not harming anyone, you can hold that opinion. Not that I don't have this urge to want to put my 2 cents into every situation. I'm just like, in the grand scheme of life, how important is that? Not really that important. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I feel like my just overall energy and stuff has just, I don't know, just changed a bit. This whole thing has forced me to become a much more resilient person. And it's interesting, you don't necessarily know how resilient you are until you have to go through certain things, you know. And I'm almost grateful that I'm going through this in a weird way, because I believe it's helping me to become the person I was meant to be, in a way, you know. My mum always says that nothing is ever wasted. Even when we go through the crap of life, there is always some good that can come out of it. Like I said, helping somebody else get through another situation, you know, I really think that's the way the world goes round. People helping people, because life is not easy. Life is hard. We all need somebody, you know. This whole culture of everyone just, you know, focusing on themselves and, you know, my grind, my hustle, my, like, no. Take some time out to check in on people, you know, offer people support, share your story with people. You can really help someone. I'm excited for the person I'm becoming. I'm excited to eventually share my whole testimony, because I am a sign and a wonder, and I am a warrior, and I am fighting through this. I just want to say, for anyone who is going through a really, really tough time at the moment, you know, you look around and you feel like you're alone. You are not alone, okay? There are other people who have been through the same thing. I know it doesn't feel like it, but there are other people who have been through the same thing who, you know, reach out to them. Honestly, reach out to people. Speak to them. Let them encourage you. You know, you will get through it. And pray, you know, like, pray to God. Sometimes it doesn't have to be like this, like, really, you know, formal thing. Just talk to God and just let it all out. Like, even the things you don't understand. That's what I have tried to do, you know, and ask for his peace. Like, honestly, ask for God's peace. Ask for God's strength. Like, literally the other day, guys, I was out, and so you know, so sometimes I get very bad fatigue now, yeah, where it can just like come on and I can just get extremely tired, like, very quickly, and fatigue is not the same as tiredness, okay? Like, fatigue is different. This is like, you can sleep for 10 hours and wake up and still feel as exhausted, if not more exhausted than you did before. It's really horrible feeling. It's like, you know, it it's not a nice thing. Anyway, so I was out and I was feeling this thing coming, and I was like, oh no. I was at my friend's house and I was just like, oh gosh, I'd either have to sleep here or I just need to go back home. And I checked and it was going to take me 45 minutes to drive home, guys. And I was like, oh my gosh, normally a journey that's like 25 minutes, but because of traffic. And I just said, Lord, like, because I really was like, I need my bed. So I just said, Lord, give me strength. I was like, Lord, I'm asking for your strength right now in this moment so that I can get home. And I decided I would go home. And I was all right, guys. The whole journey, I just kept being like, Lord, I thank you for your strength. I thank you for your strength. I thank you that you've given me your strength. I thank you that you are my strength. Lord, I thank you that you are my strength. Guys, I got the whole way home. I even got home and I didn't even sleep immediately. I didn't even get like the normal like fatigue that I would normally get. It was insane. But just a small example. Whatever you're going through, I know sometimes it feels like when you're in it, you will never come out, you know, but you will. You will. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to share what was going on with me. And yeah, I know that 2022 is going to be a great year. It's going to be a great year for me because it can only go up from here. Please. But yeah, I will be sharing an amazing testimony with you guys soon. I know it. So yeah, and I will share my journey. I've literally been documenting everything, so eventually I'll share my journey. But yeah, yeah, if there's anyone who wants to like get in touch, if you want any advice on anything, or like you're going through something, you just want to hear from someone maybe who's gone through something similar, then just drop me a message on Instagram. My Instagram is here. Marie-Laure Quason. I've changed it. It's basically my government now. And I'll be, you know, I'll respond and stuff. But yeah. But anyway, that was it. I hope that was helpful in a weird kind of way. But yeah, so I'll be back on YouTube now. And yeah, your girl is back. I'm gonna have some different bits of content coming. Yeah. I'm going to be doing a lot more fashion type videos because I really sat down and I was like, what do I actually enjoy? So I'm going to do more sort of fashion type stuff, vlogs, sit down videos as always. But yeah, yeah, anyway, that's it. So I will see you guys soon. Another video. Take care.